What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and today I'm going to be ranking all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Now, I absolutely adore this franchise. It's one of my favorites. I grew up watching it, and of course, there have been films that have come out throughout the years. I love the ride at Disney World, so this franchise is near and dear to my heart. But before I give you my ranking, I wanted to mention that Trevor, over at Film Geeks, is doing a companion video to this one where he also ranks all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So definitely go check out his channel, subscribe if you haven't. Check out that video so you can see if we have any different takes, any similar takes on the franchise. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and get right into it. So coming in at number 5 for me is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, this is the 5th entry in the franchise and far and away my least favorite. I think this movie is awful. It really hurts me to say this, but it's 14 years after the original Pirates of the Caribbean, and there is no semblance of any of the magic or swashbuckling adventure that the first 3 films contain. This movie is honestly very much a shell of its former self, as Captain Jack Sparrow is basically just a bumbling drunk idiot throughout the entire movie. Johnny Depp kind of lost his touch with the character. The writing is just really off, and the CGI throughout this film is really, really bad, especially in the final act. There's a battle underwater that's just atrocious. Captain Salazar is not the most compelling villain, and he's rarely even on screen. I have to give credit to Javier Bardem for doing the best he can, one of the greatest actors of all time, but he just doesn't have much to work with here. There's a brief appearance by Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann in this movie, which is something that I can see as a positive, as they tried to connect it to earlier on in the series, but overall, it's just a disappointment of a movie. The writing was awful, and it's essentially just a quick cash grab, and it's easily the most forgettable Pirates movie. Coming in at number 4 for me is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Now, this is the 4th entry in the franchise, and the first after the trilogy of Pirates movies, so it's essentially a new story, a fresh start. There's some brief carryovers from the first 3 movies with characters, but the story itself is essentially new, and you get introduced to Blackbeard, who acts as the main villain in this movie, but he's not introduced till about 40 minutes in, which is upsetting because I really do like Ian McShane's performance as Blackbeard. He's a really menacing character, but we don't get enough of him on screen. Like I said about Dead Men Tell No Tales, this movie loses the magic of the first 3 Pirates movies, as there's not enough at-sea swashbuckling pirate adventures. It's about finding the fountain of youth, and it is fun to see Captain Jack Sparrow back on screen, but you can definitely start to see a dramatic drop-off in his character in this movie, as he's starting to become more of the constantly drunk idiot that doesn't have the smart cleverness of his character from the first 3 movies. The lack of the supporting crew from the first 3 movies really does hurt it, because they're some of the best comedic side characters in the movie, and they really add levity to situations. Sure, there are some moments of brightness in the last act. I do enjoy some of the action there, but Captain Jack Sparrow is starting to become a shell of himself in this movie, and you see that full on in the 5th Pirates. This was my least favorite at the time it came out. So before I give you guys my top 3, definitely consider hitting the like button and comment your ranking of the Pirates movies down below. What is your favorite and least favorite Pirates movie? And of course, head over to Trevor's channel, Film Geeks, link will be in the description down below, and check out his ranking of all 5 Pirates movies. So coming in at number 3 for me is Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, the epic conclusion to the trilogy at the time. This movie is like 2 hours and 49 minutes, and I loved it. I remember it was the first Pirates movie that I saw in theaters, and I had an absolute blast. I think that it opens with a bang in Singapore as you get this epic action scene, and the stakes are set for the rest of the movie as the crew has to go rescue Captain Jack Sparrow from Davy Jones' locker, and that was a very trippy scene. It still is to me. I understand it more with age, why it's there, but the only issue I really have with this movie is it's about 20 minutes too long. There's some pacing issues in the middle act, a lot of double crossing going on that can get a little convoluted at times, but the epic maelstrom battle in the 3rd act is so much fun. The final act, like I said, is just stellar stuff. You get a very satisfying conclusion to this Pirates trilogy, and there are some moments that are a little outlandish, so that kind of turns some people away. For me, it doesn't bother me as much, but you can see that they are getting less and less realistic as they go, and that's fine. They're fiction movies. I don't expect them to be accurate to real life. I think this has the best score of any of the Pirates movies. Hans Zimmer did a beautiful job here. Coming in at number 2, the runner-up is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, the 2nd film in the Pirates saga, and I absolutely love this movie. It might be my most rewatched Pirates movie. You find out more about the lore of this Pirates world, and there's more world building that goes on as you get introduced to Davy Jones, who is probably the best series villain. I think that he is my favorite villain in this franchise, and you see the Flying Dutchman and the ins and outs of it. You have the Kraken. This movie just builds upon everything I loved about the first in such a great way, as the swashbuckling adventures there. You get these battles at sea, you get these epic sword fights. One of my favorite in the series is between Norrington, Jack, and Will Turner on the beach when they're fighting over the chest. Great action scenes in this movie that really are memorable, unlike some of the later entries in the series. And I think it has my favorite ending of the entire series. when a certain character makes a return, and of course we lose a certain character. What a movie, such a fun time, just a blast. Coming in at number 1 is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, the first Pirates film that kickstarted it all, based off the ride at Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and wow, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's probably in my top 15. I have seen this movie countless times. It is what some would say lightning in a bottle, as it starts with a bang and it never slows down. Captain Jack Sparrow is in this movie. He is played by Johnny Depp. You get introduced to him early on. He was actually nominated for an Oscar, which baffles me. He was so great and transformative that he became this character, and the Academy actually gave him an Oscar nomination, which is insane. I love it. I'm so happy he got nominated. But it's one of the most original and fun, compelling adventure films I've ever seen. You have Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann's romance relationship throughout the movie, and then you have Captain Jack Sparrow, who is a mastermind in this movie. He might not play the part on the outside, but his wits are at work, and he really can outsmart people. And then, of course, you have Captain Barbossa, the villain of the film, who is trying to undo this Aztec curse, and they go to Isla de Muerta. The final act of this movie is just so epic. There's a lot of trickeration that goes on, and of course, the visuals in this movie for the time are stunning, as pirates who, when they go into the moonlight, they turn into the skeletons. The CGI still kind of holds up, so that's pretty impressive. I have to give props to them. This is one of those Disney live-action movies that will always hold up. I think it's the most rewatchable of them all. The score is outstanding and has become an icon in and of itself, but Curse of the Black Pearl I could gush about for days. I literally adore this movie. So that's a wrap for my ranking of all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to hit the like button and definitely comment your ranking of the movies down below. And like I mentioned earlier, definitely head over to Trevor's channel, Film Geeks, to check out his ranking of the Pirates movies. Our videos kind of go hand in hand, so you can see my ranking and his ranking and compare the two. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got a lot of content planned, whether it's new episodes of the podcast, live stream, collabs, videos in general. I'm just having a ton of fun, and the support really does mean a lot. I cannot emphasize that enough. Thank you all for sticking around, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Drink up, may heart is yo ho.